Okay, this how-to video is going to talk about a new grid option that's available for all levels of the Cadence PCB tools, so OrCAD PCB Designer standard all the way up to the Allegro PCB Designer. And it's called Relative Grid, which gives the ability, especially when placing components, to change the grid on the fly, which can be quite a useful feature. So by default, obviously, setup grids would allow you to specify effectively a non-etch grid and an etch grid, which will allow you to, obviously, from a placing component point of view, and you can see this non-etch grid here now. But maybe I've got to place some decoupling capacitors inside this BGA, and I want to make this grid a little bit better, or a bit coarser. So I can obviously go to setup grids and change the grids that way, but if I just want to do something locally, what I can do is if I invoke something like the move command, then I can look in the options pane now, and I've got this relative grid checkbox, which allows me to effectively enable the relative grid. I can specify a value of what I want to do, and then I can obviously go and pick an origin. So if I pick alternate origin, I can then say maybe let's use this pin here, so I can hover over the pin and do a right mouse button snap pick to pin. That would then set the grid based on that pin origin point, so you can see now all my pins are lined up quite nicely. So when I then go into the placement mode and I start kind of just dragging the components around, you can see that they're just snapping to the grid locations, which allows me to very, very quickly go and place the capacitors that I need in this BGA option. Once I'm happy with that, I can literally just do a right click done, and then the default grid changes back to be the master one.